What's up guys, this is Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Antoine Steele and I want to bring you guys a Domain Monarch deck profile. I think Domain Monarchs is a pretty decent deck choice right now because of the good matchup it has against Pendulums and Burning Abyss, while also being able to consistently put Monarchs on board due to having more copies of Domain. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the profile. We'll start with the monsters. So for the Squires, we have 3 Edea, 2 Eidos, and 1 Mithra. I like this ratio because we have 4 good cards to only 2 bad cards, and these aren't really bad, but these 4 give us really good opening turns. And I especially like Mithra against Burning Abyss because a lot of times they can't deal with having that token because it's not a Burning Abyss name, so it just makes all their Burning Abyss monsters destroy themselves. So Mithra is really good in that matchup. For the Mega Monarchs, we have 3 Ethers and 3 Erebus. I think these are all pretty standard and necessary in Domain Monarchs. In Xyz Monarchs or Extra Deck Monarchs, a lot of times they'll cut the 3rd Erebus, but you definitely want to see this more in Domain Monarchs because you need something to tribute and get your engine going. Whereas at least in Extra Deck Monarchs you have some sort of backup play with your Extra Deck engines, but you don't have that in Domain Monarchs, so you need the 3rd Erebus. And then for the other tribute monsters, 1 Majesty's Fiend and then 2 Karaz. I tried 3, but I personally didn't like it since it can't attack on the turn it's summoned. So it just kind of made it dead in your opening hand without return. And it's kind of only good for destroying return, which just wasn't worth playing 3 in my opinion. And Majesty's Fiend has been really good. It's not good in every matchup, but being searchable by return really helps it helps you get to it when you need it. And the last 2 monsters are 2 Maxis, because you want to complicate the game state against most decks, and so Maxi comes in handy for that. For the spells, we have 3 Domain, the namesake of the deck. It's really good because it locks out your opponents from using their extra deck, which is especially good against Pendulums, Burning Abyss, and Combo Kozmo, or Fire King Kozmo. And it also helps you get into your tribute summons more often because of the level reducing effect. 3 Pantheism, this is probably the best spell card in the deck. It just does everything you needed to do. It helps you dig through your deck while setting up your graveyard with primes. Then you can banish it from the graveyard to search other spell cards, or spell or traps really. It's just insanely good. And every time you see it, you're in a winning position. 3 Tenacity so that we can search more. We want to have more access to each of the Monarch spell or traps to make the deck more consistent. 3 Stormforth because this outs every other monster in the game and it helps you tribute summon. And then finally 2 Return. I didn't like 3 Return because, so in order for Return to be good, you have to already be able to tribute summon. Versus if you look at the other ones, Stormforth helps you tribute summon. Domain helps you tribute summon. Tenacity and Pantheism are both going to get you through your engine to help you tribute summon. Versus Return, you already have to be able to. So that's why I played only 2 Returns. 1 Frost Blast because it's really good for destroying back row, it's searchable, and that helps a lot. And then to also destroy back row, 2 Twin Twisters. You can also get your effects of your Edea and Eidos when you discard it. Erebus is also good to discard, as is Prime Monarch and Pantheism. So Twin Twisters has a lot of synergy in the deck. And finally 1 Rhoda and 1 Foolish Burial. And then for the traps, we have 3 Prime Monarchs and 1 Escalation of the Monarchs. I think Escalation's really good in Domain Monarchs because in Extra Deck Monarchs, you sort of have 2 plays per turn. You have your 1 Tribute Summon and then your 1 Xyz Summon. You can make more, but you're usually only going to make 1. Whereas in Domain Monarchs, you don't have that second option. However, with Escalation, it gives you the opportunity to tribute someone on your turn, then on your opponent's turn, thus giving you 2 plays within the course of... You still get 2 plays in a sense, and so it helps with that. And also, Escalation in Erebus is almost as good as Stormforth and Ether. So that's definitely something that you can't underestimate. So for the side deck, we have 3 Effect Veilers, 2 Flying Sea and 1 Max Sea, 3 Chaos Hunters, Raigeki, Dark Hole, Twin Twister, 2 Royal Decrees, and finally 1 Solemn Warning. So as for what I side in and out in each matchup, so against Monarchs, I side out both Max Seas, Majesty's Fiend, and Frost Blast. I don't expect any spell or traps really, and so Frost Blast is pretty useless. I don't like Majesty's Fiend in the matchup because they can still tribute summon, and then they'll still just Stormforth it if they have to. And then I don't like Max C because if they're playing Domain Monarchs, they don't special summon that much. And if they're playing Xyz Monarchs, then playing Max C will just only complicate the game state and I'll be playing into their hands. I'd rather stop them than let them play and draw extra cards. Then I side in 3 Effect Veilers, and then I'll side in either Solemn Warning or Raigeki depending on if I go first or second. If I go second, I'll side in the Raigeki. If I go first, the Solemn Warning. Against Burning Abyss, I side out the Frost Blast, Foolish Burial, and Escalation of the Monarchs. I side these out because, again, I don't expect too many face down spell or traps against Burning Abyss. Foolish Burial isn't bad in that matchup, however, I don't see it as being necessarily useful either. And then Escalation doesn't really help me tribute summon, But against Burning Abyss, I don't want to try to grind them out. I really just want to lock them out of their plays or turbo into my domain, and Escalation doesn't really let me do either. And then I side in both the Flying Seas and the third Max C. Again, this just gives me a little bit extra speed to help me either lock them down or get into my domain plays. And then Majesty's Fiend's also really good in that matchup. Against Pendulums, I side out Frost Blast, Escalation, both Max C's, and Majesty's Fiend. I don't like Majesty's Fiend in the matchup because they can just summon stronger monsters without using any effects. Like just through Xyz summoning, they can just Xyz summon or synchro something that's just stronger and attack over it. I don't like Max C because Pendulum summons are inherent, so when you play Max C they can just stop. Or they can just Pendulum summon like 3-4 monsters in defense and then you just can't do anything. I mean you can, but you won't be able to attack over them. And they'll just Pendulum summon them back next turn and then go off from there. So Max C really doesn't do too much in that matchup. And then I side out Frost Blast and Escalation for the same reason as before. They're just not necessary for the engine. I just want to turbo into domain as quickly as possible and stop them while I can. I side in 3 effect Veilers, and then depending on whether I go first or second, I'll either side in the Twin Twister and Solemn Warning or the Raigeki and Dark Hole. So when I'm going first, I want the Solemn Warning and the Twin Twister so that I can either negate their Pendulum summon or their normal summon or destroy their scale so I can keep them from setting their plays up. When going second, I like having an answer to whatever board they can make on their first turn. So if they summon like a Vortex Dragon, I can force them to negate it, and then go off from there. So against Kozmo, I always side out Domain and Foolish Burial. I don't plan on Domain locking them, so I don't need 3. And then I'll side out Frost Blast and Escalation, or both Max C's depending on if I'm playing Fire King Kozmo or Card of Demise Kozmo. So if I'm playing Fire King Kozmo, I'll keep the Max C's and I'll side these out. If I'm playing against Card of Demise Kozmos, I'll side out the Max C's and keep these in. The reason for that is Fire King Kozmo special summons a lot, and so Max C is really good against them. Whereas against Card of Demise Kozmo, the Frost Blast is going to help against all of the traps. And then Escalation helps because when they use a trap on my turn, probably negating my normal summon, I'll still be able to tribute summon on their turn. And so that's going to be really useful. And then I'll always side in the Solemn Warning. And then if I'm going against Fire King Kozmo, I'll side in the 3 Chaos Hunters. It's really good when you chain it to a Fire King Island or to a Dark Destroyer targeting itself, because that's going to keep the ships from activating their graveyard effects. But if I'm playing against Card of Demise Kozmo, I side in both Royal Decrees and Twin Twisters to help me deal with all of their back row. And remember, I also keep in the Frost Blast, so that helps as well, along with the 2 Twin Twisters that are already in the main deck. Alright guys, that's my Domain Monarch deck profile. If you're interested in extra deck Monarchs, I'm going to have a deck profile also on my channel featuring Ultimate Zulkin. And I definitely like those builds, I think it's a lot of fun. And if you still have YGO Pro or Deck Pro, you should definitely try it out. And so with that being said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys later.